Hello, everyone. I'm Captain Logan, and look, it's Austin. The day goes.
What's up?
Folks, it is the 40th anniversary of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I wanted to make sure and do as much Turtles content as humanly possible this year. So we're going to start off with some 03 Ninja Turtles. And Austin, I've been wanting to do a mini marathon on this for a real long time. And I thought, since we're doing this kind of hiatus thing right now, and I don't really have time to do like real lengthy shows, I would actually break this up into parts and try to do as much of the series this year as possible. And when I say mini marathon, like for a long time I was thinking about just doing some select episodes of this, or like, you know, just part of the first season. And then I was like, nah, we should do like a, you know, long, like 10-12 hour stream or a 24-hour stream, and I don't have time for that right now, but I do want to finally watch through this whole show. So my hope is to go ahead and do all of it over this next year, or as much as humanly possible, and as much as we can stand. Like I could see us going up to fast forward and then stopping. I don't know, because everybody hates that, but it might be fun to watch that blind too. I don't know. Like everything, I'm playing it by ear, but that's my hope anyway.
Well, this is the more serialized show, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is, but it gets kind of crazier and more bonkers as it goes along. And that season 7 stuff, the time travel thing, when they changed the name to Fast Forward, that's when everybody jumps ship and hates it.
Doesn't it become like a Red Sky show, just like Batman does?
No, you're thinking of 87. This show starts serious.
Oh, okay. Well, I knew it started serious, but for some reason I guess I'm just thinking of the 80s show.
Well, and really, every incarnation of Turtles in cartoons, with the exception of Rise of the Ninja Turtles, is pretty serious. Like even 87, like is kind of, you know, for a Saturday morning cartoon in the 80s, kind of surprisingly serialized, especially the first couple seasons. And that first season is just a miniseries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I knew it had like that kind of Transformers thing where the original Transformers show basically is like a 4-episode pilot.
Yeah. And it was, and I think Transformers might have that same thing, where there wasn't really any intention on making a lot of it, where it was just there to provide context for the figures. And that's
every cartoon in the 80s was made to sell figures.
Yeah. And of course the difference is Turtles actually started as a comic, and there was that material, but it was aimed more at adults, and it was more underground and harder to get your hands on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I am somewhat familiar with this show. I've seen the first season all the way through, and a lot of season 2, and then I'm spotty after that. I've never sat down and done the whole thing, which is why I want to try to do that now. And Austin, I don't know if you've ever seen any of those.
I know I had a DVD of it as a kid, but I don't remember ever watching it. I just remember it sitting on a shelf.
It'll be interesting if any of it comes back to you as you're watching. Like, oh, I guess I have seen some of this.
Yeah, I know I've seen like videos where they talk about this, so I know like vaguely what happens in the first season at least.
Oh, okay,
just offhand, but.
Well, and I thought this might be fun for you because you not too long ago started getting into the Mirage books, and this is the closest to a direct adaptation we've ever had and probably will ever have of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I've always heard. Just this in the first movie, I guess.
Yeah. And if you love the first movie, this is the show for you, of course. 21 years later now, I kind of wish we'd done some content on this last year, because it was I don't know, I've gotten obsessed with the anniversaries lately. We've got a lot of these really big ones, 2-3 decades. And this last year, of course, was the 20th anniversary of this show. Now we have the full-on 40th anniversary of just Ninja Turtles as a franchise. And part of the reason I'm making a big deal out of Turtles this year, too, is Turtles was a real formative thing for me growing up, and I've continued to be a big fan of it, and I like multiple incarnations. And it's also the 40th anniversary of myself. I turned 40 this year, and so I thought I would, I don't know, just like for myself personally, and then for the channel, I'll really kind of deep dive back into Turtles this year, and I'm hoping to do some stuff on the IDW comics as well.
Is that still going?
It recently was announced that that they're canceling it at 150. But IDW is being very teasy about it, where they're like, we're finishing it for now, so who knows what else is going to happen after that. If they'll let the Last Ronin thing just kind of completely take over, because that's so popular, and they've already done 2 more miniseries since, and I haven't read them yet, but since Last Ronin. So, like, you know, is that their new status quo moving forward? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I only wondered because it's also the 40th anniversary of Transformers this year, and that just started a new book at Image.
Oh, wow. I guess it didn't occur to me that they both started at the same time, because in my mind, Transformers is older because I'm always compartmentalizing and thinking of, you know, Turtles as a toy line and a cartoon show, and then as a comic thing. And Transformers, you know, of course, starts as toys at the same time as the Turtles comics start. I always forget about that. So that's it. Well, I guess we should do something on Transformers this year too, because I know you're a big Transformers guy. Like Austin and I have kind of a mirror thing. We're kind of flipped on this, where he's the big Transformers guy and I'm the big Ninja Turtles guy, and each of us has our ins for those franchises, but neither of us is a mega fan of the other thing the other one really likes. So let's do something like this with Transformers too, if we can find the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do that. And that one you can just pick random episodes for.
Yeah, if you want to do
YouTube too.
If you want to do Gen 1, and I will say I did a mini marathon years ago on some of Prime. So, but like, there's lots of other things. We could do some Beast Wars. It might be amusing to go back and look at that animation now, 25 years later, or whatever it is, because that's kind of hard to look at. But I remember really liking that show.
Yeah, for sure.
So like, there's a lot to do.
Oh yeah, I mean that franchise alone is a ton of TV shows
and more than Turtles
movies.
It's one of the only things from that era that's got more cartoon shows than Ninja Turtles. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get into this here pretty soon. Austin, I had this thought, and I'd love to hear folks sound off in the comments. I had this thought earlier today. There are now 4 animated incarnations of Ninja Turtles, and I'm wondering, and I know you haven't seen all of them or very many episodes of each, but I wonder if each of the Ninja Turtles cartoons was one of the 4 Ninja Turtles. Which one would you assign to each? Like, which turtle is 87 and which turtle is 03?
Okay, so very limited knowledge, but I'm gonna say the original show is Michelangelo, this show is Raphael, the 2012 show is Leonardo, and then just by default, the last show has to be Donatello. But those I feel like could go either way.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of try to start when I was trying to do it, and I'm not sure which way it would go. This is a dumb exercise, but I thought it was kind of amusing. I kind of wanted to start with which show was the most kind of technical for Donatello, and then the others are kind of easier to fall into place. But I don't really know what that is. Because, like, for, you know, just kind of the edginess of it, for lack of a better word, I would really kind of want to assign 03 to Raphael, I think.
Yeah, the original show and this show are the easiest, just based on tone.
But Rise is so farcical, it's really easy to assign that to Michelangelo.
Oh, okay, I don't know anything about that show outside of the animation, so...
Yeah. Edward says, wow, that's some accurate guesses.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I think this is totally up to, you know, opinion and interpretation, but...
I feel like the first 2, like I said, are really easy to nail down, and then I don't know enough about the last 2 to throw them out.
Sure,
Which is why Donatello's the default.
Well, and depending on how often I can get around to doing this, I'd like to do 2012 also. At some point, whether it's this year or sometime afterwards. But like I said, I'm going to play this totally by ear. And I don't know if Austin will always be able to show up for these. I might do some of this stuff solo just to get it knocked out. Hopefully Austin won't be sad if I do some of this without him. But if he's like really sucked in and invested, I'll try not to do that.
Well, I definitely want to do some of the 80s show because I love some good cheesy 80s animation.
Yeah, absolutely. And the first 2 seasons are available on Paramount Plus now, so we could totally pick a night and at least knock out the original miniseries, which I would really enjoy doing because that would be a nice supplement to the off-the-cuff rewind I did on that on a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this. This will be a lot of fun. So I also had this thought just because I had forgotten what the title of the first episode was. And again, as always, just disclaimer, we've not prepared for this whatsoever. We're going to, and I have seen some of this before, but it's been a little while. So we're just going to kind of chat about this as we're watching it. It'll be somewhat riffy. We'll just discuss whatever comes up. And you guys feel free to help direct the conversation in the comments via super chat or otherwise. We will respond as much as possible. But the title of the first episode is Things Change, and I wonder if it's just coincidence or how much Tom Waltz was looking at this when IDW Turtles started, because the first arc in that series has the word change in it also, and I think it's boy, all of a sudden I can't remember what it is, but the title of that has the word change in it. But it's not the same thing. It's not Things Change. I'm trying to remember what it is. It'll come to me here in a minute.
One, isn't it Eastman that's heavily involved with IDW and this show, or is it Laird?
No, that's
Or are
what's
they flipped?
Change is constant is what that arc is called. So that's what's really interesting is and the more you read the Mirage comics, the more you could kind of see the influences between the shows. So this show, the consultant was Laird and Eastman was nowhere to be found, and then 2012 it's flipped. 2012 it's Eastman.
Okay, I knew some stuff.
And Eastman
it's like
is
one of them
also
will do it and the other won't.
And Eastman is also involved in the IDW comics for folks that aren't aware of that, which is why Austin brought that up. But
okay, so it is flipped.
yeah, it's flipped. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind,
both those guys like change, I guess.
But keep in mind, of course, that Waltz is pulling from everywhere under the sun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Anyway. Let's go ahead and get into this, folks. Get into timestamp 0. If you're watching on Paramount Plus, make sure to get past the ad at the beginning if you have that, and the Nickelodeon logo. We're going to start right at, honest to God, timestamp 0. So check on that on your end, Austin. Make sure that we're in the same place.
Oh, yeah, I have like a Paramount Plus logo, so I let that go.
Yeah, watch past that, and then make sure you're at true timestamp 0. And then I don't know what the logos on the Blu-rays look like, but that just came out recently, so it's possible somebody might be watching with those as well. And I'm going to try to go ahead and order those pretty soon so that I can watch these on disc, but I haven't got that. I haven't made that happen yet, so I'm going to have to do Paramount Plus today. So hopefully we don't have too many lag issues or anything, but anyway.
Yep.
Are you ready?
Longest preamble ever.
Well, I was just waiting for Austin to tell me if he was past the logo.
I'm
you
good.
Ready? It's Paramount Plus. Anything could happen. The whole thing could have completely broken down on you.
No, I'm good.
Worst, longest preamble, and also worst streaming service ever.
Yeah, I have it through Amazon, so it's at least a little better.
It kind of kills me a little bit inside every time I have to promote Paramount Plus by saying you can watch it on Paramount Plus. I don't love that. I think about unsubscribing from this service on a daily basis.
I tried to, and they're like, "Well, please, we'll give it to you half off," and I was like, "Okay."
Did they really?
Yeah.
Well, and then I'm about to start. Quick plug for this, but I'm about to start a blind commentary series like this on New Track. Starting with Discovery with Brandon for a Patreon, and so I'm gonna have to have it for that too. Which has me considering breaking down and buying the sets for that, even though I don't really want to own them.
No, you gotta get all the sets. You gotta own it physically, Cap.
I'm excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. Teddy put in a $10 super chat, but I'm going to totally answer it after we start the show. So, Teddy, give us just a minute or two, if you would. Turtles, count it off. Here we go. Everybody, please press play right now. So you always got to start with a cold open. with one of the turtles monologuing, and it's usually like after the fact, and then retroactive going backwards. And kind of Frank Miller-ish.
Yeah, they're fighting some slice and dicers.
Well, that and just the kind of purple prose of some of these, some of these monologues.
They're fighting a Tumbler Wolverine.
The purple dragons are really big in this show. This is where Hun comes from, and he shows up in the IDW series. And minor spoilers for that series, I won't be able to help it, but one of the cool things that Waltz does with that is he makes Hun Casey Jones' dad.
Oh, okay.
So, Teddy, $10 super chat. Love this intro. Oh, and there's Raphael with his kind of Akira motorcycle. Cap, totally serious question I need an answer to. Which turtle do you think would be most likely to serve in World War II if they lived back then? Leonardo, absolutely.
I like how we just had the same answer simultaneously.
It's because it's the correct one.
Mm.
It's just the right answer.
What about World War I? Donatello.
Why? Watch out for Shredder.
Because Donatello would be like, I found a cure for mustard gas, guys. We're good.
So, my son Mikey, who is 5 right now, got real big into the show maybe a year ago. And he'd be watching this in our game room upstairs, and you would just hear him from the other room when the intro is going, just like scream out, "Watch out for Shredder!" He did it every time.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, I was like, this is like the most awesome theme song ever. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, which I'm sure is a very hot take.
It's not as great as 87. So I don't like the song as much as I like the editing. I think it's a really kick-ass looking intro.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
And you gotta love the panel and panels, and it's also the best Shredder costume ever until, in my opinion, Batman vs. Ninja Turtles, where we made the 87 suit scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. No, I like the Shredder from the show. I remember as a kid I had a toy of the Shredder.
I have seen this pilot a number of times. Wow, look at all the detail on Leonardo's face in the shadow. That was super cool. All the lines.
That was very moody and cool.
Dun Ranger Power. I love watch parties. Me too, man.
I love being a watch party.
Yeah, it could be a watch pizza party.
Watch out for parties.
So I like how each of the turtles makes a move against Splinter that kind of gives them an initial characterization. And as the series goes on, I don't think they're one note. I don't think they're interchangeable. I think this is one of the Turtles properties where they do a really good job of drawing each of them and not making them like just defined by one singular character trait. But it's a really good introduction to what the prevailing character trait is, even though they're more than that. This turtle layer seems very inspired by the one from Ninja Turtles 2.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can see that.
Which is my favorite one.
It's not the third movie's layer?
Well, the third movie actually has the same layer as the second one. I mean, they like.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to go back and look at it again. I don't know if it's
so,
the same set or if it's smaller, but they tried to make it look. But it's still the like abandoned subway station.
Well, that is New Line where they were putting stuff out like annually, so it might be the same set.
Lucas Green says he didn't even get the intro when he pressed play. That sucks.
Oh, weird.
Edward, God, the animation and art of the show, it's like a living 80s indie comic. Yeah, it's really cool, again, how close to a direct adaptation of Mirage this is, with still certainly an early 2000s sensibility about it.
Hmm.
Like, it certainly could be moodier, but I think it splits the middle in the best way possible in, between 87 and the the feel of the Mirage comics, which is why the crossover movie is so much fun, because compared to 87, this looks real dark and edgy, and then you get to the end of that movie and they go to the Mirage comics, and the black and white versions are basically saying "Hold my beer," and it's wonderful.
Yeah, with the theme alone, it's like this theme and the What's New Scooby-Doo. I think that's what show it is. Whatever the early 2000s Scooby-Doo show is, they have like the most 2000s-y intros of all time.
We're getting a couple of big things, big kind of standard classic Ninja Turtles things out of the way right away. You got Mousers in the first scene. We usually wait a couple, 3 episodes or comics before that happens. And we're already separated from Splinter, although he's not like full-on kidnapped yet. And he's an old man who can't figure out a cell phone.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're already at a point where we have to do cell phones.
Another way we're kind of splitting the middle between 87 and Mirage is they don't have the letters on the belts to spell out who they are, but they do still have the colored headbands. And I don't know how you feel about this, Austin, but I think this show could have almost gotten away with the all red headbands.
Probably, but I do think the different the different colors was a good idea.
It certainly helps differentiate them, especially for smaller kids that are trying to figure out who the turtles are. Like that could lose you when you're a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. No, and this is one of the things I know that does like different skin tones for each turtle, which is also a good idea to help differentiate them visually.
Yeah, and more subtle than I would like. Like I like when you get to IDW and their the skin colors are extremely different.
Oh, okay. Because I do think we've gone way too far with that at this point. Not the skin color thing specifically, but like the trying to make them each visually different.
Yeah.
Like now they all have to have like just crap on them, and Raphael can't just have a regular head mask.
No,
anymore.
they overthink it all the time now. It's obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do like what Santa Luco does in the IDW comics, where he has the headbands tattered in different ways. I think that's really cool.
Oh, okay.
But like Raphael having to have a do-rag and all that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
I don't need that. It's like when Knuckles always has to have that hat.
His hat?
Yeah. Sort of thing with Knuckles where he's got a hat.
I don't know. I know Knuckles doesn't chuckle. I don't know anything about him wearing a hat.
This show gets to the space stuff a little faster than I expected it to back when it was on. But I always like to point out, if you haven't read Mirage, that the original comics do it much, much faster than a lot of people remember. Where we get to... Do you remember that, Austin? You get to the Triceratons by, like, the 3rd issue?
It's been so long since I was reading that stuff, I don't remember offhand. That also doesn't surprise me.
So I appreciate all the shadow work and the silhouette and stuff. It's kind of surprising that they don't keep them in shadow in the opening scene a little bit longer as a throwback to 87.
Oh, sure.
But
yeah.
You do get it for a second, but they're not making you really wait for it to like, oh, what are the turtle designs going to look like?
That's what we needed for this first episode, is like, you see their shadows jump out, and then it cuts to the full intro, but you have no shots of the turtles.
That would be awesome!
I
would have loved that.
Oh, that'd be awesome for a first episode, yeah.
You know, I never had this thought before, and obviously, I'm sure there's rights issues and stuff, but just all things being equal, wouldn't it be cool to have an animated series that does something with the with the musical theme from the first movie? Like if your intro went back to da 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 da, like you could do something
Oh
with a
yeah, see, I couldn't think of what the theme was, so I had
yeah,
to
you
think
could
about
do
it for
something
a
with a
second.
cartoon theme for that.
Batman the animated series. You mean that
Exactly.
kind of
Yeah,
thing? Yeah.
and then you just change it slightly, and there's in this action scene here where they're roof jumping, there's some clear homage to some early Eastman Laird art and covers and stuff.
But yeah, with that theme idea, I wouldn't mind that, especially because like I feel like we keep trying to do the '80s theme, and it's just never as good as that.
It's never as good, and we do the kind of obligatory thing with 2012 where we brought it back, but it's kind of hip hop-ish.
Yeah, I remember hearing that and being like, yeah, I don't know, this just doesn't do it for me.
Me neither, and like it's fine.
I think what it is just the original theme is like an all-time great like jingle. So it's like messing with it in any way just kind of feels weird.
When I think sometimes there's also weird rights issues with that, where like it has to be re-recorded. You can't use the actual original recording of it. I don't know if that's true. For sure, I'd have to look into that. But there's a lot of like re-releases of the arcade game and things like that where they use it, but it's like it's kind of off. Like they're trying to avoid copyright, like some sort of copyright thing.
They don't want to have to pay the guy who made Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, exactly. Rewatching this pilot, I feel like there are certain shots where you can see where all the money went. Do you kind of have that where it's kind of economical about what shots, and I'm not even criticizing it for this, but like what scenes and specific shots are going to be under detailed so that they can spend the time and money on the kind of money shots for the episode?
I mean, these are the choices you have to make when you're doing TV animation. Oh, Donatello's glasses.
Because he's smart.
Because he's smart. And that's another thing we can't get away from is he always wears glasses now.
This show gets wonderfully bombastic in its action sequences, especially in transitioning. It likes to do this a lot in transitioning from like more talky scenes, where it's got that great theme that goes dun dun dun.
I'm surprised we've never done the Mausers in one of the movies yet.
It still never happened. I don't think we even got them in Out of the Shadows, where you did have Baxter Stockman.
No, and I assumed they would be in that new animated movie, but I'm especially surprised that the original trilogy didn't go to it because there's so much RoboCop in that first movie.
Yeah. Well, and if they had continued on that trajectory, you probably would have had that in the second movie. I mean, keep in mind that the scientist in that movie was supposed to be Baxter Stockman in the first place. And if he had been, I bet it has Mausers.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's weird, too, with the second movie because there's like the whole.
Oh, hey, we've seen this scene before, Austin.
Oh, yeah.
Especially wearing stupid turtle costumes. I'm sorry, I was talking over you.
No, it's okay. No, even with the movie they made for the second movie, like I'm surprised they're not in it.
The little bits of traditional Japanese music thrown into the rock and the score, I think, is really tasteful and classy. And I like that it doesn't only happen when Splinter's on screen.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That's cool.
Uh-oh.
I'm latching onto some stuff looking at this again that I never thought to comment on.
I almost had a fraud moment. I almost said, "Look, it's the hand." Whoops.
Yeah, I think the thing that this show gets most right the 4 cartoon shows, I guess, and even more so than any of the movies, is that that blend that the original comics nail so well between Miller stuff and Kirby stuff.
Sure, yeah.
Because that's basically what Ninja Turtles is like equal parts parody and homage of those two things.
Mm-hmm.
With the street level stuff and the cosmic stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like more people are familiar with the Miller parody of it all.
Robert says Mousers would have been pretty expensive to pull off in live action. No more so than animatronic turtle suits if you're doing it the way RoboCop did it, and in 1990, that's how you would have done it. It would have been stop motion.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about stuff like Gremlins or Ghoulies, Critters, stuff like that. Like, there was lots of those kind of like little creature movies.
Well, and actually, I said it would have been stop motion. If you did giant ones, yeah, like regular sized mousers though. If you've got animatronic turtles, there's no reason they couldn't be remote control, at least to some degree, right? And it could have been like
puppets. I mean, it is the Henson Company.
Yeah, it's Henson. So that's what I was gonna say. Is it could be one part puppet and one part remote control. All of this action is really exciting, and what a good commercial cliffhanger. That's great. It's a cool cut. I've never known how I feel though about keeping in the I don't even know how to put it. Not bookends, but the bit of theme that you always had between the commercial breaks, like on these transfers. I might have cut those out. I don't know that we need that every time.
That's fair. I don't know. I like that stuff from like old 80s cartoons. That's something I wish we did more often now.
It's throwback to Transformers, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a big one.
I didn't even have that thought until you said it. Yeah, it's that Transformer, and God, that gets stuck in my head every damn time too.
No, I love that stuff. Like, if I were to make a TV show now, it would include that because I just love that.
They're getting, especially imagery-wise, Austin, so much done in this pilot. I mean, it's preposterous. You've got Mousers, you've got you already have an invasion of the lair, like 6 seconds into your show. And then you have a bazillion foot soldiers.
And the purple dragon guys that remind me of the random street thugs from the Spider-Man 3 game.
Yeah. Chewbacca's Lover, $2 super chat. Thanks, man. This was my favorite show as a kid. I was obsessed. I want to say if I had been a kid during this era, as opposed to 87, I would have been just as much into Turtles as I was.
Yeah, and it's weird because this is like right in the middle of me being a kid. Like, I'm 6 when the show starts. And I don't know, I just missed it.
Yeah, I don't know how you got into the Batman, but not this.
Yeah, I was watching like Teen Titans this time too.
And
whenever that starts.
And the animation in this is in that kind of same vein of the Batman. And Extreme Ghostbusters and Men in Black and a number of other shows like that. Got the Godzilla series based on the 98 movie kind of looked like this.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too, yeah. Yeah, that's all stuff I missed as a kid. And I was still watching SpongeBob, I guess.
Hey, look, they're not going to spend 6 episodes rescuing Splinter. Maybe that happens later, though. I don't remember. I'm sure he gets kidnapped at some point.
Probably.
This is also
the done a whole X-Men Beast arc and just have him be in prison for the entire first season.
The whole season? This is also the smiliest Splinter will ever be.
Oh, yeah?
He
like in this show or just in general?
No, ever. He just smiles a lot in the show.
Right, in general, yeah.
You know what else I never noticed before?
What's that?
The weapons have their mask colors.
Yes, that is something I've noticed before. I feel like a lot of toys do that. Maybe it's because I think my brothers had a lot of toys from this show, so maybe that's why I associate that.
Oh, sure. Well, and this is unique to the original show in that obviously they would have done it backwards. Oh, by the way, I said the lair in the show is like the one in Ninja Turtles 2. I forgot that they'll then get a new lair that they'll have for the rest of the show. But that first lair I think was a throwback to the Turtles 2 lair.
I love this layer. It's my favorite layer.
It's my no, I was saying Turtles 2 is my favorite lair.
No, I know.
You jerk face. But no, what I was gonna say is obviously this goes without saying, but the '87 show, the characters are based on figure models, and here they had to come up with figure models that would also make for cool toys, and they did a really wonderful job on that. Like, Playmates did as good of a job on this show as they did '87. Their toys were spectacular for this show. I bought
the shredder I had was awesome.
I bought that shredder. I didn't get anything else from the show when it came out. I was already in high school, but I had to have that shredder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think my brothers had.
Oh, here comes
Leonardo and Donatello.
Here comes the sound. Here it comes. Yes. So I love
Which
that.
sound?
So there's this sound that is associated with Shredder that we do every time he does something kind of scary or creepy or messed up. That's just like a. And it's in the score, so it's not actually a real person screaming, but it's like a Japanese guy going, "Whoa!" And you get it every time, and it's awesome.
They should have had the "Watch out for Shredder" after every single scene with him.
So we just finished the first episode. We'll go ahead and rig up for the next one. Do you know the whole thing with Baxter Stockman in this? The kind of really messed up running gag that we do with him?
No.
Okay, I think we might see the beginning of it during our watch tonight. I'm not sure, so I'm not going to give it away yet, but it's wonderful.
Does the show do the fly Baxter Stockman? Or no?
No, it sure doesn't.
Okay.
But this show doesn't do mutates, really.
Okay.
Or it doesn't do it the same way. So that's a whole thing that Turtles Forever makes a big deal out of, is Hun finally becomes a mutate in that. He's a giant turtle, kind of like Slash, where they don't have the mutagen that combines humans and mutants. Like, I mean, they obviously have the mutagen, but they don't use it like that.
Oh, okay. So like this doesn't even have a Bebop and Rocksteady, I guess.
No, and it's also important to note that and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys, because I'm just going from memory, but I believe a lot of those things they just wouldn't have had the rights to right then. So it isn't until Nickelodeon buys the whole franchise that everything Turtles can be mixed and matched like we do in IDW. And so when you get to 2012, we start getting new, somewhat more serious adaptations of, well, at least for that show, of all kinds of stuff that was in '87 that couldn't be in 2012. So you get Utroms, but you don't get Krang in this show, for instance. But they do a nod to Krang, where there's like a one-off, one-shot character named Krang, but they don't full-on do Krang.
Okay, yeah. So I guess Eastman and Laird just weren't Stan Lee. They weren't like, oh god, this TV show's gonna do a character. We gotta get a comic out quick, or else they'll own the rights.
Yeah, exactly. But they do with Baxter Stockman. They do like the most screwed up, morbid thing with him. Anything I saw in a cartoon. Like a mainstream cartoon, and I couldn't believe they got it past censors. Like I don't know how they allowed it. It's just wonderful.
Oh, okay.
Robert Wild, does Austin know about the Shredder twist? I don't know, which is why
I do.
That's why I hesitated really hard. Okay, so spoilers for this show for anybody that's not familiar with it. Like you might want to leave and watch the show and come back. But we're talking about Turtles Forever and stuff, and that's in that. I bet a lot of people that didn't bother with the show but looked at Turtles Forever because they like '87, like would have found out about it there. But because I think that's where I found out about it, Austin. But they do this kind of cool twist where we sort of do Shredder and Krang as the same character by the end of it, but that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, because I knew that the season ends with the whole thing with Shredder, and then their way of getting out of it is, yeah.
Yeah, and then they changed the intro because Shredder's not around anymore. So instead of "Watch out for Shredder," it's like it's like "We beat the Shredder" or something. I can't remember.
Oh, that's way worse.
Or like "We took out the Shredder." I don't remember.
We beat the Shredder.
So, oh, really? Well, then why the hell am I watching the show anymore? Why am I supposed to care about that? It's really like Clark and Lana getting together in Smallville. If we allow that to happen, nobody's gonna watch it anymore. It's exactly like that. Edward, we shredded Shredder. Is that what it is? We shredded Shredder? That's terrible.
That's awful, yeah.
That's pretty rough.
Are you sure you want to watch the show?
well, yeah. I mean, every show's got its, it's got its stupid stuff. Its ups and downs.
No, of course.
Or at least lots of them. Edward knows everything there is to know about the show. We always get somebody in the live comments that's like a walking Wikipedia page for the thing we're watching.
Well, I know the show's got like a crazy, or not crazy, but like very, like avid fan base.
It does, and I certainly agree with. Yeah, I saw an article the other day written last year that was making a big deal out of. It's been 20 years and this show is still underappreciated. I agree with that, and and I think we'll go ahead and get to the next episode here in a second. I think part of the reason that is because it was just hard to get your hands on for a long time. And one of the only things I appreciate about Paramount Plus is that they put this show out, and all of it so people could watch it. And now there is finally a complete box set that came out last year for the anniversary, and it looks really cool. I bought it for DJ for Christmas, but I've not bought myself one yet.
No, that's just a curse this franchise has, apparently. But
yeah,
at least some stuff's getting all released like that.
Nickelodeon has finally done a good job of releasing everything. I don't know why it took them so long, but it used to have that curse. It doesn't anymore. Everything is available now as far as as I know. Like I'm thinking back now. Yeah, you can get all of 2012 as one box set now finally, and 03 we finally just got released last year. 87 you've been able to get a box set for a long time. There's actually a couple of different complete box sets. I've got the one that's the Turtle Van, which is really cool, but there's one that looks a lot like the 2003 release. So it's kind of nice that you put those next to each other and they look the same. And I think 2012 has one that looks a lot like that too. And then I'm sure Rise has it. It's only 2 seasons. And then even the crappy live action in Power Rangers continuity show has a box set.
Well, it went from like the worst collected franchise of all time to maybe the best because it also has that like full game collection.
Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, so you can buy everything now. I mean, the game collection doesn't have all the stuff like past, once you get into like GameCube and PlayStation and stuff. But you're right. Like it's at least got the 80s, 90s era stuff.
And what like IP franchises can you say that about?
Not very many. That's a good call. What would be
most IP games are just lost media at this point.
Yeah, and like
at least officially.
Sometimes it ends up not being very good when a big parent company can get all of a franchise like that, and they don't always do the right things with it, and they don't let anybody be really creative with it, and they don't do a very good job re-releasing stuff. Nickelodeon has ultimately done a really good job with Ninja Turtles, and I'm kind of glad that it did go under their umbrella ultimately. What would be really cool is if they put out one box set that had everything.
Oh god, that'd be crazy.
Wouldn't that be nuts?
It'd be like $1 bajillion. It would have all the games, all the movies, all the shows.
Yeah, how much would that cost? It'd be like $3,000.
And the set would be a giant turtle lair.
Would it be this one?
Well, it would be the one from the first episode that gets destroyed, and then just like a year into having your box set, Nickelodeon breaks into your house, destroys it, and replaces it with a bigger one.
Dan Schneider, $5 super chat. IDW Comics mines a lot from the show, including some really deep pull references. Don't know if you've noticed them, but I did. I've noticed some of them here and there as I was reading it, but I'm sure I'll pick up more on them as we go through this show, and then I start trying to review IDW if I can get some of that done this year. Bob the Hun, $2 super chat. I missed this from earlier, so apologies to Bob the Hun. Peter David wrote the comic line for this show. I did not know that. I knew there was an all ages comic based on this show, and I own an issue or two, but I've never read any of it.
And Peter David's like a go-to guy for that kind of a thing, I feel like.
He's a go-to guy for tie-in stuff, but
that's what I mean.
Yeah, but I don't know that he's really written a lot of comics that tie into stuff, like a lot of tie-in novels and stuff. Most of his,
true.
Well, I mean, I guess he had a long run on Star Trek, but besides that, I don't know if he did anything else like that for cartoons though. Maybe he did.
Well, I mean, Peter David's just like a work for hire guy, not in like a insulting way.
No, like he's one of those workman guys that is actually really talented and tends to not phone stuff in, unless he's really angry with.
He's worked on like everything.
Unless he's really angry with your parent company or anybody working there, and then he'll troll you. By making the worst crap imaginable, but on purpose, because he did that with a Star Trek novel I read once, and it was one of the most enjoyable experiences I've ever had reading a book. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the second episode now.
You should have read the Spawn then.
Oh, I would love it if he wrote Spawn. Yeah, but you're right.
Is illiterate.
He'd probably just tackle it the same way Gaiman did, where you can't tell if he's making fun of it or not, but he basically is.
No, you would write Spawn as like illiterate. It'd be awesome.
Okay, so if folks are asking how long or how many episodes we're doing tonight, I want to do at least the first 3, but we might do more just depending on how we're feeling and if there's too much discussion between episodes. So let's go ahead and watch the next one. Episode 2, A Better Mousetrap. Get ready to press play as soon as I say now, and I'm just about to do it. All right, please press play right now.
We're going to need a bigger mousetrap. I mean, better. See, who just left that manhole cover off? Somebody's going to fall into the sewer now.
Was it the Mousers? Did the Mousers
I don't know.
knock that manhole cover out?
I think it's those terrorists, the turtles.
Thanks for that.
It's pretty crazy when you think about it.
We did
get April in the first episode too.
Oh, that's a good call. But I mean, they get a lot done. Like I said earlier, so like you got to leave something major out.
No, of course. It's interesting because that's like the most obvious way to go for introducing a new audience to your thing.
Well, and it's a cool introduction to her because anybody that was familiar with 87 looking at this would maybe not even be able to tell they're looking at April in that scene.
Possibly, yeah.
You know, because she's gonna feel totally reinvented, but she's actually going back to more of what she was in Mirage, of course, because she's gonna start as a scientist assistant with Baxter Stockman, which is exactly what she is at the beginning of the comics.
I feel like April's one of the characters in this franchise that can be wildly different, like to the point where now we do her as a kid a lot too.
That's true. Yeah, 2012 introduced that whole kind of fifth turtle idea with her that I was never the biggest fan of, but
that's because nobody can make the fifth turtle thing work because it's exactly a perfect dynamic.
Edward pointed out the lyric "Never fight unless someone else starts." Yeah, they have the same. They have the same morality as the Power Rangers.
Well, now I just imagine the Splinter from the movie being like, "I must find 4 sons with attitude."
Yeah, Yeah, and it kind of goes against the Mirage first issue idea of the whole point is they're supposed to go kill the Shredder. It's the exact opposite of don't escalate a fight. It's go there and kill him. I want revenge.
No, that first issue is just Splinter like, hey, there's this bastard. I need you to go kill him.
And then they do, and then the issue's over. Is essentially what happens there. Austin, I've always really admired your ability to recap things. Well done there. Thanks for that synopsis.
I mean, that's basically exactly what that first issue is.
And there's the TCRI canister, which was weird for people, I'm sure, who weren't familiar with the comics but knew Turtles too, because for some reason they made it a G in that.
Oh, yeah, true.
Oh, thanks for that alliteration there, Raphael. The Wreckin' Robo-Roaches.
Oh, they already got like a little dune buggy.
Yeah.
Who wrote this show? Patrick Stewart? Oh, it can fly.
And it looks like Speed Buggy. If it had wheels that flip underneath like the DeLorean.
So we're already less grounded than I thought we were from the start.
Yep. No, that's right. But I kind of dig how action figure-y it still is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really feels like that's a cool shot. The reflection off the Mouser head.
Yeah, no, it absolutely was.
You can see a lot of hard work right away with the show. And you can kind of from the very beginning see what the kind of pitch was, what the mission statement is. We're like, we want to take the stuff that made 87 lucrative for us, but make it a little smarter, a little more grounded, aimed at I don't even want to see an older audience, but a broader audience. Like, I think it still appeals to the same age of kids the original did, but the kids that grew up with that could grow into this show.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you caught it, Cap, but one of Donatello's DVDs was Captain Planet.
Oh, I did not see that.
That's pretty awesome.
Was it Captain Planet?
It's not like exactly Captain Planet because rights, I'm sure, but it was definitely Captain Planet.
Okay, are you sure it wasn't the Star Trek thing they do in the show?
I mean, it's possible, but he looked exactly like Captain Planet.
He looked like Captain Planet? Okay, because there's this, and I think it's maybe even in this episode, I can't remember, but there's this ongoing show that they'll occasionally cut to. I think it's this show, or is it 2012 that does it? Oh boy, no, I'm not sure. One of those shows, Austin, it's blended together for me now. One of these shows has a parody of TAS, of the animated series, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the 2012 show, just because I feel like at that point we'd be thinking more about stuff like that because we're more like retro minded, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, and
it's make Baxter Stockman black like he is in the
comics. He is in the comics. That's right. Oh, 2012 has that. Okay, thanks, Edward.
I was right.
I'll have to go back and look at that.
I'm more of a TMNT fan than you are.
I gotta go back and look at the Captain Planet thing. No, you're not. You didn't even know about that. You just noticed Captain Planet. Shut up, you.
Quiet, you. Yeah, I am surprised they went back to her being his assistant.
No, it's kind of a nice risk, honestly. It also makes me wonder if Laird had like some mandates for the show for working on it, or if they just really listened to him.
Mhm.
because he kind of famously, there were a lot of things about 87 he doesn't care for
Yeah, for sure.
and was going to really get away from. She has really green eyes. You know, just like in the black and white comic.
Do her and Donatello have more of a relationship in this version? Because I feel like that'd be the place to take that.
Where they team up and do science stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. Of course, in the 2012 show, Donatello has a romantic crush on her.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure every turtle has at this point.
They do that whole thing. They don't do that in this. This is much more traditional and does the comic and movie thing where it's her and Casey very quickly.
So you're saying this show is not like the Michael Bay movies where Michelangelo gets really uncomfortable around April?
No, it's not like that. Because I told you so.
Look, Raphael, I made a funny.
Splinter totally just pulled the, because I said so, like, parenting thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and then walked out.
So this is the classic, like, the turtles have to stay in the shadows. They're not allowed to show themselves at all, and they don't love that.
Yeah, because that's not a part of the 80s show, because 80s shows do not care about that stuff.
Well, what's fun is it is for like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They just get away from it very quickly, like, because they go around in the goofiest human disguises. So like they are thinking about it, but it's pretty quick in that show where everybody knows that the turtles are a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
so,
here
yeah, it's
they
something
stay
that's always made me
secluded
laugh
a lot
about,
longer, and it's a lot more the the movie thing of like the outside world will reject you and they'll fear what they don't understand. And I think Splinter kind of says that in the original show, and then once they reveal themselves, everybody kind of embraces them, except for the people that just think they're gross. But that's kind of it. Where you've got like her boss at the TV station that's like, oh, those horrible turtles, or I think one of the women that works there is always like, ooh, gross, turtles.
Yeah, something that's always made me laugh about G1 Transformers, where the tagline is literally robots in disguise, and like 5 episodes in, they're like getting called by like official government people to be like, hey, come deal with this problem.
I love the Splinter Jr. thing. That's a great diss from Raphael there. And they are almost coming to blows. Like exactly half an hour into the show, Austin.
No, this scene like perfectly sums up the TMNT. Leonardo and Raphael have their rivalry, and Michelangelo and Donatello run away.
That's exactly right.
Do nothing.
But I love that 10 minutes into the second episode, we already have Raphael yelling at Leonardo saying, I'll go through you if I have to. That's wonderful. The Splinter Jr.
If I wanted it, I'd have gone through you already. April, is that outfit like appropriate for a workplace? I didn't know you could be a lab assistant and have a cut-off shirt.
Have a cut-off shirt. Yeah, no, it's just important because it's a early 2000s show, so we gotta have our super sexy sex symbol, even though it's a kid show.
Yeah, it's like the exact moment where it was allowed. Like the censorship is backed off a little bit, so we can do it. And in a couple of years, we'll go.
Let's not do that anymore.
Do that in a kids show, yeah.
I love how pencily this art is. Like, I don't want to overstate anything, but I feel like this is one of the more comic booky looking 2D animated shows.
Possibly, I don't know.
Like, obviously, it doesn't look just like the IDW books, because like we were talking about earlier, there's a pretty kind of early 2000s like standard art style that's forming for certain shows aimed at like kind of a preteen audience.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they're gonna have their own generic, like in the fiction superhero comics that Michelangelo reads, but he's talking
Oh, of
about real
course.
ones right now. Which is hilarious, and we should just have a whole spin-off about that Mouser that that can't bite anything.
That can be what it's called, just the mouser that couldn't bite anything.
Okay, it sounds more like a short than anything, but
There'll be a whole show.
Edward, yes, the kids show with a decapitation silhouette and a body falling apart. Well, yes, but and now I've spoiled it for Austin. But
I don't know what kind of water, the sewage water this is.
yeah,
It's
that's
like
that's disgusting. What is in that? I don't think I even want to know.
I think it's chocolate.
They're in the underground Willy Wonka chocolate factory.
Well, because it looks like the original Willy Wonka chocolate river, which didn't look like chocolate.
But Edward, it's just like Batman the Animated Series, except it gets away with going even farther with some of the really violent stuff. Where it's like you do it all off screen, and you're still able to aim it at a younger kid audience. And obviously they're selling merchandise to that audience, and I don't know. It ends up being a lot more accessible to a number of different age groups. Even though, unfortunately, a lot of people missed the show somehow.
Mhm.
I mean, it was popular enough to stay on for 8 years.
I feel like this is a transitionary period to cartoons just a couple years later that could just straight up kill people.
Yeah,
You know,
and it is a show like Batman that I think is maybe sometimes better for the ways it is held back a little bit. Where, like, if they could go full tilt, it might just get weird enough that it would lose people. Because Mirage gets really super weird. And this directly adapts some of the strangest things in that. Like, do you know about the multiple Shredder clones of different sizes?
Yes.
This
Yes.
show does that.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I know Shredder comes back because of worms, and then there's like multiple Shredders.
Yeah, it does some of that weird stuff. Dan Schneider, $2 super chat. The turtles sound like teens to you, sound older. I mean, I've had this with Ninja Turtles much of the time, where the teenage part of it is like kind of secondary to everything else, and a lot of iterations more recently have really leaned into that side of it. But like to me, they've always only been teenagers in the sense that they have a mentor that is a father figure that tells them what to do, and they more or less obey him, and when they don't, there's consequences. And so in that sense, they're kind of kids.
But you can say the same thing too with adaptations of Spider-Man.
Yeah, sure.
Where it took till the MCU to get like a proper teenager-y Spider-Man.
Where even if on paper the stories are about a teenager, he sounds like he's 25.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
you get like the 60s Spider-Man cartoon where he sounds like he's 45.
Dude, have I ever told you about the like late 70s storybook record that I found and listened to once that was Spider-Man voiced by Renee Auberjonois, of all people, who was Odo in Deep Space Nine?
No.
And like, yeah, it's well before that, but he already has like an almost old man voice, or at least a very middle-aged voice, and he's not right for it at all. It's hilarious. Go find that. Peter Parker voiced by Renee Auberjonois. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, April, they're not fire. Stupid.
What did you think was gonna happen? Okay, they're going a little far in kind of sexing her up, are they not? Like even with the camera angles and stuff.
Like I said, it's like that exact period where it was more okay to do it, and we were still okay with doing it.
So they're gonna go full tilt with that. It's a good design in the face.
Like you could see her butt in that shot.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mean like I mean like cracking out from her pants.
Yeah.
Like that was weird. It's very Ultimate Spider-Man in that way. When you go back to Spider-Man and like there's a lot of weird shots where you can see Gwen's like thongs and stuff.
It just kind of takes you out after a while. But I was just gonna say, in the face, she's drawn a lot like she is in Mirage. Like she looks very much based on that character model.
Yeah, it's interesting they're kind of setting up the Mausers as the main threat of the show so far, even though obviously we know it's going to be Shredder from the intro.
Well, I mean, kind of little column A, little column B, because we did end last episode with the Shredder. You just didn't see him in costume yet.
That's true. I just mean like they're like the main enemy so far.
Well, but we had fights with a bunch of foot soldiers in the first episode too.
We did, but it was like they were walking the streets and then the foot randomly showed up. Like the Mousers have been the villains the last 2 episodes.
But then you can tell at the end of that last episode that, especially if you know anything about Ninja Turtles, that, oh, here's the guy that sent the foot soldiers. I see it more as like 2 possibly separate threads. And then we'll have the big reveal that they've all been part of one big thread.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're just like zombies.
I mean, kinda.
Oh, that must be why I've always loved the Mousers.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're just like zombies, and I'm a closeted zombie fan.
I'm sure when IDW did that Infestation arc, they had zombie Mousers.
Dan Schneider says, I don't need stuff like this in kid shows. I don't know if he's talking about the Sexy April thing or the violence, but I assume he's talking about the Sexy April thing.
I think he's talking about the Sexy April thing.
But I think it's fine to do stuff like this in escapist entertainment. I don't find it offensive or anything. It's just it's kind of weird looking at it 20 years later because you don't see that kind of thing as much anymore. And also I do think it's distracting.
Yeah,
it's like she can be super attractive. I don't have a problem with that, but it's just the angles are odd. We're making too big of a deal out of it. Like integrate it better.
Yeah, I just find it kind of dated. It's just, like I said, a very specific window of time.
Well, and I don't want to read too much into it because some of that might just be, you know, they're heterosexual men and that's fun for them. But I also think that some of that might be part of the audience. They're trying to aim things at the audience that grew up with 87. Because one of the big things with that show that everybody remembers, of course, is that April was drawn like really busty and had really skin tight clothes, and there were kids kind of, you know, there were boys kind of coming of age with like this super sexy looking character in Ninja Turtles, right? And so like they grow up. And then they're looking at this show and it's like a very sexualized April now. So like that might be somewhat intentional.
At least balance it out and make Splinter a little sexier.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like you might be revealing too much about yourself, Austin. Okay, we're gonna put on the 3rd episode. And we're gonna watch at least this many, but we might do 1 or 2 more. We'll see how long Austin wants to go. But I'm having a great time here. Bob the Hun, Cap is admitting to being distracted by April's hot bod.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Daniverse, this ain't your daddy's Ninja Turtle. I mean, it's like 87 in this I think of as both like my kid's daddy's Ninja Turtles because I was like just getting out of high school when this was out, and I liked it, but I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't know why I didn't. What is it with this show and people just not paying attention to it? Because like it's really good, and I really liked what I saw of it when it was on, but I didn't watch it all the way through.
Yeah, it just has to be that weird middle child, I guess.
Well, I've never watched all of 2012 either.
No, but that was like super popular.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about it constantly.
Well, and Playmates doubled down on it like they did 87, where they made figures of friggin' everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those shows like Spectacular to me where I go, I don't really like this art style, but like if the show's good, it'll win me over.
So I had forgotten that this is, and it's interesting that it doesn't have like one title put in parts, because I think the third season opens with a 3-parter that's one title, and I think season 2 might also do that. I can't remember, but this is basically a 3-part pilot, all like Austin was suggesting earlier about the Mousers, and I always mistakenly remember the Turtles beating the Mousers in the second episode. Like, it's kind of crazy that they fight them so much in that second episode, then they're still dealing with them enough to call the third episode Attack of the Mousers. Like, they've already attacked, folks. They've been attacking.
That's what I mean. Like, they're kind of the main villain of this show so far.
Yeah, you're making a compelling argument with that. It's just that there was a lot of foot at the beginning, although at this point you might totally forget about that because we've had so much Mouser action.
Well, they're setting it up for later. Like, obviously they're not going to be the main villain of this entire season.
No, but that would be crazy.
Yeah, imagine you get to like season 5 and they're still only fighting the Mousers.
Well, that would be, and I meant to suggest this earlier. I think this show does take cues here and there, maybe a little bit from the X-Men series. And I was like, and I was just thinking when you said that, what if the Mousers were like the Sentinels in that show? Where, like, we just can't get rid of them.
It'd be awesome.
They always come back, and they serve the same purpose as the Sentinels, where it's like, we got to get rid of the terrible mutants because humans hate and fear them, and so this is the mechanism by which we. So then you have like I think there is a giant mouse or somewhere in the show, maybe I can't remember. But you then get like the master mold of the Mousers.
Yeah, it's to the point where, and I could be wrong because I don't know that show well enough.
You will remove Senator Kelly's brain.
When I sent you that X-Men merch, the one thing was like all the different, like the theme song logos, where it's like Beast, Wolverine, Rogue, whatever. And they had one for the Sentinels, and I don't think the original show had that, but I could be wrong.
Sorry, I was looking at comments that had what for the Sentinels?
In the original show, like during the theme song, where like every character has like their name like big written in the intro.
They did one for the Sentinels?
Yeah, it was on one of the merch things I sent you. The one that had the previously on.
Oh, I did. I didn't look at that part of it. Yeah, no, that was never in the intro.
Mm-hmm. And who knows if it'll be in the intro, but it was like all the different like characters written out, and I had the Sentinels as well.
But they didn't do that with any of the villains. Like the intro, they show the villains all running at the heroes at the end, mm-hmm. but all the names are just the main heroes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like the main heroes, and then Magneto and the Sentinels. Which Magneto, who knows, he could maybe be a hero in that show.
I kind of hope they go that way.
I feel like they probably will, because it's not going to have Professor X at the start. So
yeah, you just find out Professor X has been in a Savage Land again.
No, they're going to be like, oh, he died in Doctor Strange too.
Oh. I really wish you'd stop saying that, because I'm scared that they're gonna actually do that. Quick prediction for that: I think Cassandra Nova will be mixed up in that show.
It's possible. I think she's supposed to be the main villain of Deadpool, so I think they're thinking about that character. I think they cast her. I could be wrong.
That's cool, though. I didn't know that.
But I remember hearing something about them casting Cassandra Nova. Maybe it was a rumor. I don't know.
I
thought it was like a thing.
Because I think she's in the throwback comics, the throwback X-Men '93 comics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember hearing that name and being like, "Who?" And I had to look it up because I don't know X-Men very well.
She is a Morrison creation, I think.
One,
Am I
I've
right
read
about that?
no X-Men. Like they're a major blind spot for me.
Yeah, well, X-Men's one of those things that I don't know anything like as much as I want to know about, and I think of myself as kind of an X-Men fan.
Mm-hmm.
But like for the select stuff, I'm really into like the movies and the cartoon show for nostalgic reasons and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I've not read enough.
I listened to, I think it was a Rob Liefeld interview the other day, and he was like, Todd McFarlane beat out Chris Claremont for writing the most issues on a thing, and I was like, there's no way he's written more Spawn than Claremont's written X-Men at this point. There's no way. I don't believe it. Especially when you like add in all the different spin-offs.
Yeah. And if it is true, it shouldn't count anyway.
Exactly.
Dan Schneider, $5 super chat. I know the turtles never sound like teens, but I mean they do in the new movie and stuff. But Raphael sounds 30 in every version of the turtles, maybe 35. Am I wrong? You can sort of sell the others. Yeah, the idea that Raphael sounds more like a middle-aged man than any other turtles, I think that's right. I think that's accurate. I mean, not with Rob Paulston in '87, but after that, like I think he sounded young enough.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it's just harder to sell like the angry one, because they don't want to be like emo teenager.
Well, and also anybody putting like a Brooklyn accent on that hard is immediately going to sound 15 years older.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is true too.
Okay, here we go. Episode 3, Attack of the Mousers. Everybody, please press play right now. Okay, who's going to be talking this time, Austin, right at the start?
It's Michelangelo.
It's Michelangelo.
He's talking about how it's not easy being green.
Yeah, it's great. I do like that they get if they've got to have this formula, they get the recap out of the way right up front, and it's very old school comic book, where it's like you basically get the splash page that explains everything, and then we don't have to filter it through the episode. And I think it splits the middle nicely to make it still episodic enough so that if a kid on Saturday morning comes in and watches this episode, they won't be completely lost.
That was a choice in the previously on segment. The shot of April O'Neil screaming with like water splashing in her face. Oh, that was a choice.
AMC Raphael is the Logan of the team. That's true. Actually, a Wolverine Raphael crossover, like a Wolverine Turtles crossover, would be pretty cool.
Somebody should just make a team of like all of those, like that, like type of character, and
like the rebellious, roguish, emo guy.
Have, like Shadow the Hedgehog or Knuckles, because he's like the original one for Sonic.
That's right. Yeah.
He's also red. He had Wolverine, Batman.
The Planeteers and Captain Planet do not have one of those.
Oh, it's Mati.
They don't have. Yeah, I mean, like even Power Rangers had Tommy.
Mati walks around and he's like, "Heart,
go Planet.
Watch out for pollution."
We polluted pollution.
Well, who pollutes the pollution?
Yeah, you're never gonna have an answer to that. Oh my god, that's very creepy, Michelangelo. So it's been a while, but I think we're gonna have the movie thing where Splinter's gonna, and I guess the 87 did it too, where Splinter will explain their backstory, and it's more of the Mirage thing where he's a rat in the first place and not Hamato Yoshi himself, which I know you prefer.
Yeah, I like the ridiculousness of that.
It's fun. I just still think the other way makes a lot more sense, but whatever.
But it's so like comic booky and like absolutely something that would be in a Frank Miller comic. That's what I like about it. Like it really just owns what it's making fun of.
Well, that's fair, yeah, and Marvel in general, because it's also what Stan Lee would have done with it.
Yeah, and I feel like doing it the other way is too like it's too silly. We can't get away with that. Well, I'm like, no, of course you can.
And then when we get to IDW, we just go all the way to making it reincarnation, and literally the Turtles are Splinter's kids.
Yeah, that's so weird to me. Like, I'm sure it plays well, like in the book. But, like, that's such just a bizarre idea.
Dude, when I first read it, I almost put it away and didn't buy any more. I was so against it.
Hmm.
And it won me over.
Michelangelo's really generic taste in music.
He likes the score for the show. That's what he listens to.
Michelangelo listens to like public domain YouTube music. He's a really big Kevin MacLeod fan.
What did that woman do to her hair? Like, the way she colored it, it was blonde and then streaks of more blonde.
I mean, it was the female version of Frosted Tips, Cap.
Like I said, I love the bad guy theme in this. It's not just the Mouser's theme, like, we'll keep using it, but the it's great. This show has a very specific, unique identity straight away. Like, it does a really good job of finding that balance between silly cartoon and something you can kind of take seriously.
It's a real balance you gotta strike.
See, you're just a mustache twirling villain there,
No
Baxter
wonder they
Stockman.
got Tyler Perry to play you in the movie.
It doesn't mean he deserves all the horrible things that are about to happen to him. I don't know. You be the judge. He's a lot more calculating and conniving in IDW, and I think that's the very best version of Baxter Stockman.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the do you remember his like first Mirage issue, Cab? He uses the Mousers to basically do 9/11. Like he straight up brings up the World Trade Center. It's really weird.
Wait, in what?
In the original Mirage issue with Baxter Stockman.
No, I forgot all about. Oh, you know what? When I reviewed that a long time ago, we did talk about that. I forgot about that.
It's like
Wow, we predicted
Mousers
9/11 with the Mousers.
take down the World Trade Center, and you're like, whoa!
Oh my god. Well, and what's crazy is
Mousers can't bite through steel beams.
well, and you know what's nuts about that? That's even before the first Trade Center bombing. So it wasn't even a response to anything.
No, it's really funny.
Chewbacca's Lover, $5 super chat. Oh, hold on. Yeah, that's a good line from Splinter. There are many ways to do the right thing. Although I don't really know what else they would have done in this situation. I mean, I guess they could have just thrown her up on the street. I don't know. Chewbacca's Lover, $5 super chat. You wouldn't get away with Mikey's "Can we keep her" line now? LOL. They do that in like every version. Betting it's not in the newest version. Well, in the newest version, they just know each other from the start, I think. I can't remember. I've seen that movie one time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I don't know. I don't know if that's something we would avoid now. I feel like that's like a cutesy enough line that it's not like.
I don't think that's inherently creepy or gross or whatever.
I mean, it is when you think about it, and it's kind of funny.
Sure,
but...
I mean, and I could see some writers being paranoid about it, where like a specific writer would avoid it, but like, would a company or a censor be like, oh, you can't have that in there? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we're only like one variation off of the the Bay version.
So check it out. This is the most direct adaptation I think there's ever been.
Yeah, look, there's Matt
Of
Murdock.
the origin. Like, you've got Matt Murdock right there.
Oh, we didn't make him a kid though. They did make him an adult.
What's that now?
They made him like an old man though. That's the one change.
They made who an old man?
Matt Murdock.
No, he's still a kid.
I'm just thinking of that old blind man.
Well, there's an old blind man, but like the kid.
That's like the Matt Murdock. Okay.
Well, yeah, because it's
It's
the
his
ooze that
origin,
makes
yeah.
him blind.
That's true. Yeah.
I think there might have even been a blind man in the scene in Mirage, but it's been too long since I read it. I don't remember.
You're probably right. I can't remember.
You make it even more of an homage like that, where it's like, see, there's a blind person. It's about Daredevil. And we'll do a lot of nods to the material that inspired Ninja Turtles in this show, just like with the comics. Because, Austin, I don't know if you know this, and I'm excited to get to it, but, well, and you've never read the issue, I don't think, but do you know about the Kirby issue in the comics?
I've heard about it, yeah.
Where there's a character that's basically just straight up Jack Kirby who draws things that come to life. This show adapts that as an episode.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I did hear that they did like a big Kirby issue. I've never read it.
It's awesome.
Oh, you're right, Edward. The big thing that Origin's missing is the canister didn't hit a guy in the head.
Now, if this show had wanted to, it could have avoided the big popular things that 87 introduced, like if it really wanted to get away from all of that. But I think it was probably still smart to hang on to some of that, just because it was so big, and I don't think you have to compromise anything story-wise to have it. But I wonder if that was a compromise on Laird's part. Like, I wonder how he felt about still having pizza and cowabunga and all of that. Because the 87 show introduces the cowabunga thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just so many things like that that are so baked into the identity that I don't know if you'll ever be able to take that out of it at this point. Like, even like at this point, like when the show came out.
And if I'm remembering this right, I don't think this show is obsessed with pizza. Like the Turtles aren't constantly talking about it. But
that's good.
But they did like that might be the big nod to it, and then it doesn't come up that much after that. But I just can't remember anymore. Dan Schneider, that's part of why we're doing this. Dan Schneider, $2 super chat.
Origin also finally gave me that Splinter sex appeal because he wasn't wearing clothes through all of it.
Oh my god. Krang is a CIA plant, says Dan Schneider. We funded the Technodrome.
That's right.
The Technodrome is not in the show because they I don't think these folks have the rights to it. So like anything that 87 introduced in the first place, I don't think they can use. So you don't have a Bebop and Rocksteady, you don't have a Technodrome. It's a lot like the Tick animated series to the Patrick Warburton show.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing they were still allowed to use like the colored bandanas and have them be the same ones.
Yeah. Maybe that's the kind of thing that you're just not worried you're going to get sued over or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the big Mouser fight at the end of this being really well storyboarded.
Michelangelo called Donatello the Techno Turtle. That's maybe close to the
You're getting too close to the Technodrome there.
Yeah. You're gonna get sued.
You can't say it. Every time a Mouser shows up, you... Bow, bow, bow.
I also like that shot. It was like the door opened and just one walked in. Like it looked like Darth Vader entering. But there's like the other ones waiting. Like that's like the leader Mouser. It was very strange.
Yeah, the lead Mouser should get like self-awareness and start talking. Edward Technodrome also isn't in the comics, so I doubt Laird really had intention to use that. Well, no, but I mean, Laird's not show running this.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know just how
He's
involved
just
he
a
was.
consultant.
Clearly enough that his DNA is all over it, but I don't know that he's, how many actual straight up decisions he's making. So I'm with you. I mean, like, he probably wouldn't have used that, but I'm just saying that even if they'd wanted to, I don't think they could have. But I don't know all of that for sure. Bob the Hunt says, was it a rights issue or did they just hate everything from 87? Because I heard both his explanations. Well, once again, they do use some stuff from 87, or that 87 introduced, like the colored bandanas, like the pizza thing, like Cowabunga. But I'm mostly using as evidence for this assumption that as soon as Nickelodeon had everything under one roof, IDW adapted from everything all over the place, and nothing had been able to do that, or nothing had done that before.
Well, I'm sure you also can't copyright saying Cowabunga.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's also a question of, did they own the rights to the movie? Like, could they also say, well, we own the movie?
Yeah, and I don't know how that works because the cartoon show clearly had rights to the movie because in the Red Sky seasons they used footage of it in the intro.
Mm-hmm. That's weird.
It is weird.
It's like the ultimate no-no.
It was funky.
Mm-hmm. That'd be like if Batman the Animated Series season 4 used Batman Forever clips. Don't do that.
They just used the Batman Forever theme instead of the Great Animated Series theme. Where that opens, you just get ba 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 ba.
Yeah, and end shot would be Batman giving the thumbs up, and then it would be like Batman.
And then, like, that Gordon shows up and is like, go!
I mean, he is the best Gordon.
Baxter Stockman really loves his work.
A little too much.
A little too, Raph. Edward Toka and Razor also appear in the finale crossover movie and this. Yeah, so I don't know. I forgot they were kind of in that.
Cool.
Well, he's just saying it further clouds the whole rights question.
Mm-hmm. One. Yeah.
But I mean that had the rights to use the cartoon show at that point.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, because at that point they could.
Because they've got the Technodrome and Krang and everything. So, but there were weird rights issues with that, where for some reason they couldn't use the original voices, so they didn't. I don't know what that was about. It's been too long since I've looked into that. I forget.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get too in the weeds with this. It's going to get technical and boring because I'm not going to take the time to look it up right now.
When so many franchises have weird rights issues.
Good one, Leonardo. No, Leonardo, I don't. That was a very generic line.
Good one, Leonardo. No, Leonardo.
Well, no, I was being sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
And then Michelangelo goes, "Have you been practicing that?" And Leonardo goes, "Do you like it?" I'm like, "No."
It was just very bipolar. It was great. Good one, Leonardo.
What?
No, Leonardo.
Now that you brought up Captain Planet, I can't stop seeing it. Like, this Baxter Stockman looks like a Captain Planet villain.
He needs to be voiced by a celebrity, though. Like, what celebrity in 2003 would he be played by?
In 2003?
Yes, because that's when the show comes out.
You mean like a live action version?
No, because like most of the villains in Captain Planet are celebrity voice.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, like Jeff Goldblum and our gal Meg Ryan.
I'm trying to decide if I'm right about the theme they keep using with the Mousers, because every time they show up, you get the bow, bow, bow. But like, I thought that was in more episodes of the show. Maybe it is just the Mousers theme.
Yeah, it probably is.
But yeah, guest voice, guest villain voice. I'm gonna go for James Earl Jones.
Very good, very good. I'd be crazy for this one because he'd be all over the top.
Yeah, that'd be great. What would actually happen, of course, is it would just be LeVar Burton again because they already have him.
LeVar Burton was probably also a villain in Captain Planet, so it makes sense.
Edward says he always liked the original show's Mousers more than this one. They were more sleek and animated more fluidly in the first show. That's fair.
Interesting, yeah.
And this feels like maybe it's going out of its way to have like too different of a design for them. Maybe like
I was gonna say it's just like they overcomplicate the design. I have that with Mechagodzilla.
I don't
where
think
the
they're
original
super
Mechagodzilla
complicated.
looks great.
Sorry, they're just more like angular and rigid because that's the style of the show.
Yeah, well, I just mean like there's a lot of lines on them. Like maybe he prefers like a more like flat.
And here's our introduction for Hun, who I didn't remember his voice sounding this much like Zeltrax from Dino Thunder.
He looks like a villain from Jake Long, American Dragon.
No, AMC, I like the Batman Forever theme. I'm just saying it would be totally out of place for that show. It's so bombastic. Just imagine it. Nicholas Bodo, hey, Cap and Austin, hi. I was actually introduced to TMNT by this show and the 90 movie. Well, and there's so much more in line.
Sorry, go ahead.
That you would think that Turtles just in general probably felt more like the 90 movie. But I'm sorry, what were you saying, Austin?
Well, I was just saying my fandom of the Turtles basically starts and ends with the 90 movie and the second movie. I like that a lot as a kid. That was like all I watched as a kid.
A little too, Raph.
Good one, Raph. No, Raph.
All the good ones end in O. So yeah, I think this is the start of the Stockman thing. I want to know how intentional it was to make Stockman's facial expressions the most cartoony thing in this entire series.
He's like a grown-up Urkel. Remember Urkel?
Oh no, that's who it should have been. That's who the guest voice would have been in Captain Planet.
Imagine it's just his Sonic voice. He's like, "Man, turtles. I made the mousers." I don't know. I don't remember what he sounds like.
Does the mall Sonic eat chili dogs?
We may never know.
Okay, so listen for the sound here. There it is.
I just heard it.
Yeah, they do it every time. It's so good.
That's insane.
And then we get Casey Jones next time.
Oh wow.
Sorry, I had like 5 different things in my head that I wanted to talk about. What were we just talking about?
I don't know. I don't remember.
The insanity with Baxter Stockman. So he gets pulled off screen there, and horrible things happen to him off camera. And every time he fails Shredder, Shredder takes a body part.
Oh, maybe I did know that, because doesn't he become like a brain or something?
Yeah, eventually he'll be a head on spindly legs.
Oh, like
Mr. Freeze?
That's awesome.
And then he's just a brain in a jar? It's so good!
That's great.
And, I mean, that just immediately makes Shredder... What I love about it is, Shredder is insanely intimidating before we even see his costume.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see it in the intro, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I am surprised that they are just showing him as a guy so far.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's kind of counterintuitive, right? Like,
Yeah, I
you've
would
already
think you would
seen
do it
his
the opposite way, where you never see him as a person.
Yeah, but you've already seen his face. In a way, I think it's almost more threatening that way because like he looks. I mean, he's imposing, but like you're waiting to see him in the costume. And right now, he's just a guy, and then he'll seem even more larger than life when he like. It's counterintuitive, but I think it's effective.
Now you should be rambling about family.
I think it's maybe the kind of thing that you can that works in a comic or in an animated show that might not in live action.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know if I'm right about that. The other point I was going to make real quick is I was suggesting earlier that the show maybe looks more like comic book inspired than some other shows based on comics. It also has a lot of reverence for that original medium because every time it's changing aspect ratio, like at the end with Shredder, where it goes to the like blocks of black above and under, and then whenever it does like the multiple panel thing, like that's all callback to comics, and like it really appreciates the medium that it's drawing from.
Yeah, for sure.
And 2012 will do a little bit of that too.
That's cool.
But this really leans into that.
Now we just need a movie that does the Ang Lee Hulk thing. Get Ang Lee to do the next Ninja Turtles live action movie.
Dude, I would be for it. That could be cool.
Well, and hasn't he done martial arts things before? Didn't he do?
Yeah. I forget what, but I know he's done stuff. Yeah,
I'm blanking on the title. I feel like such a loser.
Edward, I was surprised by how well they led into the reveal of what's going on behind the scenes with Shredder, the mechanical body in the river, the implication that he's been around for centuries. Oh yeah, that's all seated right in the. I didn't catch any of that either. Pardon me. That's crazy.
There you go.
I just exploded.
We already know he's a little brain man.
Well, can we do one more?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Let's do one more. We're gonna meet Casey Jones in an episode called "Meet Casey Jones."
Wow.
And spoiler alert: he's not gonna be Arrow this time, so that's good.
That's my favorite Casey Jones. I love when he shows up in the mask and he's like
whiny cop man.
He shows up in his mask and he's all muffled, even though there's holes in his mask.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like they muffled it in post.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
That movie's so stupid.
I know, but it's awesome.
And then you got Craig punching himself back into his bodysuit.
And yeah, he's running around being like, "Family is for weaklings."
So I'm really excited about the turnout tonight because I didn't know how much interest there would be in this, but this suggests that folks might jump back in with us when we do multiple episodes. I'm excited if this works out.
Groovy.
Dan Schneider, $2 super chat. John Woo was supposed to make a Turtles film. That would have been cool.
That'd be insane.
I've never heard that.
Imagine the mutant doves that would fly around during action scenes.
Senior Sticks, but is he into hockey? I mean, Casey Jones is always into hockey.
Yeah, of course. A John Woo Ninja Turtles movie would also probably be an hour too long.
And Lee's also might have that problem, though.
That's true.
All right, let's get into it, folks. We're going to meet Casey Jones. Everybody, please press play right now. Whoa!
Oh my god, look at these blue eyes.
Those horrible blue eyes. Yeah, they don't do anything half-assed with eye color in the show, do they?
No.
If it's going to be green, it's going to be really green. Oh, this is great. Just right off the page, man.
The way it like zoomed in there at the end of that scene reminded me of like a Spider-Man Dreamcast cutscene where like that's where the boss fight would start.
Yeah, like I wouldn't have cut it like that. You know what I mean? Like I might have cut mid grunt so that it didn't sound like the voice actor was told, okay, and stop now. Because he was like, "Argh!" And then we went to the intro.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where it says everyone loves this series. I mean, if you like Turtles at all, I can't really imagine this not being, at least some of this being fun for people. Again, when it starts to get to the more cosmic stuff, I can see it losing people.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it sounds like it's also just one of those shows that goes on a little too long.
Yeah, definitely. But it gets weird early.
Mm-hmm.
Or relatively early, anyway.
Raphael pulled that box off his head, but the part that was on his head was closed. It's like when he pulled it off, it was like closed. I hope somebody got fired for that.
How does that work? How do you feel in general, Austin, about how, now that we've watched 3 episodes of this together, how do you feel about what the action looks like? Like, just the fluidity of it?
I think it looks good. I think a lot of shows at this time were getting a little bit better at that.
I remember,
and then, of course, by like the end of the decade, we'll see much more simplified art styles, but like it allows them to be even more fluid, like something like Spectacular.
When I was kind of down on the Batman as it was coming out, and I've lightened up on that show, I was kind of baffled by people that loved it over the original animated series, just because Batman moved more fluidly.
Whenever I think about that show, I always think of that move Batman does where he like slides like this. He dodges things.
Yeah, but his hat always stays in the same place like Michael Keaton.
They do it constantly. He's always doing that slide move.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, we got a character piece for Raphael here. He's got to find balance just like this show does between goofiness and seriousness.
Let him go. He must meet Casey Jones.
He's going out to see a movie. That okay with you?
He's gonna go see Critters.
That was an X-Men moment right there.
Well, you know
what is
all
wrong
I could think
with
of
me?
during that shot was that they should have animated it to be Michelangelo. Like in the movie.
He needs a therapist stat.
Oh my god.
I love that. Casey Jones' eyes just going.
He's burning.
That's a great transition though to a flashback.
No, it is. Yeah.
I like how it's both literal and symbolic.
I was just thinking, it's interesting. He's got a lot of Wolverine in his design.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is interesting because he's clearly a stand-in for the Punisher, but. I mean, I guess you can kind of push some of those edgy characters together.
His voice is not muffled, but it's behind a mask. Like it actually kind of makes sense.
Oh, okay. Oh, they're robbing.
You mean like you can understand what he's saying, but it's still like just slightly muffled?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they thought they were doing in that stupid movie.
That stupid, awesome movie.
Oh, for a second I thought that was April.
No, that's right. Yeah, it's April's mom because she also looks slightly older.
Are you just being facetious, or is that actually supposed to be April's mom?
No, it just looks like April, but slightly older.
Yeah. Well, I think, if memory serves, just a lot of women with red hair in the show.
Mm-hmm. That's weird.
So do you think we're doing the Flash, the White Flash, when things and people get hit in this just for visceral effect, or as kind of a way to get around censors or something, where it's like you don't see some of the hits, we just flash the screen real fast? It feels stylistic before it feels like that, but I'm wondering.
Yeah, that could be a censorship thing, but I think if that is, like, it feels like it's both.
My God, Raphael should be like, "Here's your purse, April." Oh, wait, that's not April. She's covering too much skin. She can't be April.
That should be a turtle thing, is they just can't tell people apart.
That would be great. And like, regardless of ethnicity?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? If like,
here you go, April. She's blue.
How do you think that's April? That is clearly a middle-aged black woman. What are you talking? You can't tell the difference? Okay.
Since when does April O'Neil wear a hockey mask?
Hot Soup says, "Hi, Hot Soup." Probably censoring the show was made on Kids WB. They censored everything. This was not Kids WB. This was Foxbox.
Yeah, I thought it was Fox, but I wasn't entirely sure because our channels are different.
And there was obviously a lot less censoring going on than in the 90s, because even off screen, I don't think that getting rid of all of Baxter Stockman's body parts would have flown even on X-Men. I don't know. I mean, they did some crazy stuff on that show. I don't know if they could have done that.
I don't even know if Batman could have gotten away with that.
Yeah. Oh, even Michelangelo has a favorite turtle.
Of course he does.
So he is less obnoxious in this version than he is in some others. I think this is one of the better versions of Michelangelo.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. I don't know. I like Michelangelo. It's a weird thing where like I like him as the jokey turtle, but I'm also not a giant fan of like a lot of their go-to like pizza and cowabunga jokes. So it's like that's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's better than the 2012's version where he had to have yet another new made-up word, the or whatever that was. I don't remember. There's a thing he yells whenever he goes into battle. He's like, and he says it a lot.
Oh.
It's Uba Bashars. I can't remember what it is. I don't remember what he says. Somebody will say it in the comments. Bob the Hunt, $5 super chat. Peter David gives Casey Jones a different backstory in the tie-in comics. Don't know why. They give it to you in his first episode. Weird. Maybe he didn't watch that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He probably didn't watch it. What's Casey's origin in the comics? Did he go to that or just make something new?
I don't remember in Mirage. I think they kept it kind of open-ended toward the beginning. So if they ever gave it to you later, I don't even know if Eastman and Lara were the ones that did it.
Okay.
I think they're pretty ambiguous about it. And then in IDW, he's got an abusive father who is Hun. And so he has a very direct reason for going after street thugs and criminals. That music sting was like, that music sting there was almost right out of 87.
Oh sure, yeah. But Casey in IDW walks around and he's like, my father was a goalie and he didn't let any pucks by.
Would you like to know how I got these sticks?
I bought them at a sporting department.
Oh, that's right. Edward says, it's all come back to me now. Because remember, it was more parody-ish toward the beginning. So he says, in Mirage, Casey's backstory is just that he watched too much vigilante cop stuff and decided to be a vigilante.
Oh, actually, I think I did know that.
Yeah. No, that's given to you in the Raphael one-shot. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's why we do
these.
Didn't
just go to the full Punisher route and have him like have his family die or something. But that makes sense.
Nicholas Bodo, favorite version of Casey Jones, easily Elias Koteas.
Oh sure.
And I like what they do with him in the show from what I've seen, but I wish Elias Koteas could have gone off and had his own Casey Jones movie. And I mean, he's fantastic.
Well, it's like with all the turtles, like I just think of just I don't know, generic turtle. With Casey Jones, I think of Elias Koteas.
Yeah, and I don't even think of a specific actress when I think of April. Like
No, I don't
he
either.
might be the only Turtles character I have that with.
No,
Now
because as a kid, I
now
thought
that you say
April was
that.
played by Sigourney Weaver, so I have like weird memories where I don't even remember Judith Hogue in that movie.
She would have been a little old already for April, I think, but
Yeah, but I wouldn't have known that as a kid.
well, and I like both movie Aprils is the thing. So I have a hard time putting one over the other.
Mhm.
I think Hogue probably uh, maybe inches the other one out slightly, but not by. I can't remember that other actress' name, but I like her a lot. I think they're both really
Megan
good.
Fox.
What's that?
Megan
Not
Fox.
Megan Fox, although she's way better than she had any right to be in that first movie. She's completely phoning it in, out of the shadows, but I think she's fine in 14.
She's also like barely in Out of the Shadows, from what I remember.
Which was for the best because she clearly doesn't want to be there anymore. But like I felt like she said she was a big Turtles fan from when she was a kid, and I believed her.
Mhm.
Like I felt like she was actually really working hard in that first movie. However you
Yeah,
feel about
maybe.
that script or anything they were doing with that, but like I'm not saying that's a great casting choice or anything, but like I saw some effort there.
Yeah, she's an actress.
Did you put that in quotation marks? Like,
Yeah, sorry.
oh man, that lighting effect with the motorcycle is awesome.
Yeah, it did look really cool. With his helmet, he looks like it's the cover for Punisher Born, I think it is, that miniseries Ennis did where he's in the war.
Oh yeah, you're right. There's so much silhouette stuff in this episode.
Nicholas Bodo asks you how Casey is in IDW.
He is very comparable to this version.
Oh, okay.
But I like his romance with April a lot, and I like the dynamic with his father a lot. He's got the relationship with Raphael like he does in this in Mirage, but it starts in a friendlier place from the beginning. And that really works. But yeah, and I could say this about a lot of characters in IDW, but like the characterization is very classic, but it's just more drawn. He's just given a lot more character dimension.
Yeah, for sure.
I really like that we're adapting the Raphael one shot like almost right where it is in the comics. It's like the fourth or fifth thing they do.
Yeah, it is cool that they're doing that.
And we'll do the Leonardo one too in this show, I'm pretty sure. Where like it's him being attacked by all the foot soldiers and getting injured instead of Raph. I'm almost positive we do that.
They do. I have seen clips from that episode. I think that's like a big fan favorite episode.
Well, and it's my favorite issue of Mirage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard a few people say that's like their favorite just Turtles story ever, just in general.
I like Raphael taking up for Casey Jones here. Dan Schneider, $2 super chat. Garth Ennis, Casey Jones, any potential there? Sure.
Yeah.
The challenge would
pretty
be
crazy.
to not just do the same thing he did with Punisher, I guess. But his arguably his backstory isn't the same level of tragic. It's not as extreme. I mean, you have to go to war first, to be the Punisher. So, immediately there's a distinction there. But
get on it, Garth Ennis. He did a Peacemaker issue not that long ago, and I was so sad when I found out it was just a one shot and not an ongoing. And then I read it, and it was fine.
I do appreciate that they're seeding the weirder alien and cosmic stuff right away with this.
Yeah, I was surprised they were already doing that.
Like weird kind of portal thing. it's nice to put a pin in that. They seem like really concerned about establishing tone and ideas and stuff real early so that nothing sneaks up on you. And they
Mhm.
clearly have, like Edward was talking about earlier, big plans for everything. Like they know more or less where a lot of things are going. Like
Mhm.
it feels like the way a great comic writer would start a run where they've got a lot of things mapped out, and then when you like Morrison on Batman uh or like Walt Simonson on Thor or something,
Yeah, I was
where
gonna say more in that era, like the Simonson on Thor. You're like Michelini on Iron Man, Miller on Daredevil.
yeah, but I mentioned Morrison just to say like there's stuff that he seeds that happens way later in the run that on a second read you go, oh, that was always there.
Hmm. Yeah, it's true. I was thinking like more so like that era because it's also like kind of episodic.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the way it functions more like that, absolutely. Um, the battle shell was certainly never my favorite turtle van, but it's kind of odd that that's done before the tumbler.
I was just about to say that looks like the Christopher Nolan Turtle Van. Oh,
Christopher
there's the
Nolan's
Akira shot.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? Michael Caine would be Splinter because, of course.
That'd be awesome. Splinter, why are you British?
Would be especially funny because you'd have Michael Caine like playing like a Japanese rat.
So yeah, just like in the comics, he's trying to hold Casey Jones back from being too brutal, and unlike the movie, he might actually succeed at that a little bit. Oh, this must be why Waltz thinks to make him Hun. To make his dad Hun. Because I had forgotten that he has a direct beef with Hun in the show.
Like they got a rivalry.
Yeah, because Hun leads the group that torches his house.
Mm-hmm.
Senior Sticks, which turtle van did you have, Cap? Well, I'm an old person, so naturally I had the 87 van. And it's one of the only things from that collection I don't still have. I lost that in a move or something when I was a kid. So I've got all my turtles, but some of the vehicles I lost. And I never had the so that's the party wagon, of course. I've thought about buying the new reissue because it's lovely. But yeah, I never got
Oh, there's Yondu in the background.
Oh my god, he does look like Yondu. But yeah, I never got the old Technodrome. And I've thought about pulling the trigger on one, but that'd be a couple $100 to get a complete one now.
Oh, sure. Was your turtle van the one that like shot out sewer grates?
So that I had that. And actually, I still have that. But the van didn't do that. That was a different toy. That was a different vehicle.
Oh, okay.
That was a thing
Yeah.
that was never actually in the show. I don't think. I
Mhm.
forget what that was called. But they put that in the Batman versus Ninja Turtles movie as a gimmick that the actual van does, but the actual toy of the van didn't do that. It was a different vehicle.
Well, that's what Out of the Shadows does too.
Oh, it does do that, doesn't it? And Out of the Shadows has the giant arms.
Yeah, with the nunchucks.
That's the best part of that whole movie. It's hilarious.
Every time I think about that movie, I don't think it's in the movie, I think it's in the trailer, where the turtle van rocks up and it starts playing It's Tricky.
Oh, I don't remember that about it.
Which is why in our review for Sonic 2, you were like, thank God this isn't Into the Shadows. And I was like, 5 minutes in, that's all I could think of when it cuts to Sonic and It's Tricky starts playing.
So, I know you kind of said this earlier, but I just want to reiterate and double down. The Purple Dragons are just a Frank Miller gang.
Yeah, they're like straight up the enemies you fight in the Spider-Man 3 movie game. And I think those are called something dragons, because that's in that game. There's like different gangs.
Good one, Casey Jones. Chewbacca's Lover, $5 super chat. This watches like 70s or 80s comics. Thankfully, not 2000s comics. They would still be fighting the Mousers and just meet April in this episode.
I mean, they were fighting the Mousers up until this episode.
That's true. There's some truth to that. Yeah, but I think he means that they wouldn't be done yet either.
No, I know.
Robert says I'm gonna upgrade from the Bat Bunker to life-size Technodrome someday. Yeah, I would be cool with that, or the Power Ranger Command Center. I've always wanted to build one of those.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you should be like the speed guy and just drive around in a giant Technodrome filled with collections.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wouldn't mind movie Cerebro.
Well, and that's basically what the Technodrome is in Into the Shadows or Out of the Shadows, whatever that movie's called.
Yeah,
because
it's
Krang
lame.
is like all the frozen things in his Technodrome, so he has like his own collection that he keeps in it.
Oh yeah, he's basically Brainiac.
Yeah, because he freezes Shredder and puts him in it at the start of the third act, and it's like, oh, I guess Shredder will never get to do anything.
No, they hate Shredder in those movies for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember how they retconned everything from the first movie with Shredder and acted like he was a totally different character and everybody was really intimidated by him? And then he was a pathetic loser by the end of that movie, too.
Well, it's because he's the Shredder in that movie, and in the first one, he's Shreddertron.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, he's Silver Samurai from the Wolverine.
Yeah, that too. He's got like 8,000 blades.
Well, guys, we're gonna, yeah, and he just throws them everywhere, and he's like 18 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Chewbacca's Lover, one more episode. I think we're gonna go ahead and end off here. What is the next one, though?
Nano.
Just out of curiosity. Nano? Is that the robot that pulls like garbage and stuff into him? I can't remember now.
I think it's about nanobot-sized mousers.
Yeah, I think it was like a bunch of nanobots that came together to make one big like robot looking thing that pulls like a bunch of metal together and then has a follow-up episode later. I think that's what this is. But anyway, well, you guys were great. Thanks a lot for being here. Thanks for the support from Super Chatters, and thanks for interacting with us. In the comments here, Austin, I really enjoyed this, and I can't wait to do more. I'm definitely going to keep going through the series, I think.
Yeah, it was cool.
This seems like a pretty easy thing to talk over, but not completely lose all the story points.
Mm-hmm. I feel like animated kids shows are the easiest to do that with.
Yeah, well, that's why the 24-hour streams have been pretty successful for that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
When we've done like the DC cartoons and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when we did 60 Spider-Man or Danny Phantom, stuff like that.
Yeah. But anyway, although I haven't seen Danny Phantom in a long time, so people keep asking me about that show, and I'm like, I don't remember it. We did it.
Getting a live action movie now. There was some rumor about that, but we'll see.
Of course that's going to happen, because we covered it.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we cover something, there's news about it.
We were really late on that one, though.
Austin, what do you think of the show so far?
It's good.
That's a solid review. Put it on the box. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, exactly. It hasn't ninja kicked the damn rabbit yet, but it's good.
It hasn't pork rind.
It's not exactly a fellow checker, but
Oh man, it doesn't know what a crumpet is, so it doesn't understand cricket. Anyway, is that the most quotable film ever made? Like, it's way up there.
I don't know. There's way more quotable movies for me, but that's definitely in the top 50.
Top 10, top 20. Yeah, for me, certainly.
Mhm.
We will definitely come back and do more of these. I don't want to commit Austin to it, but he's welcome to come back, of course, as much as he can. And I don't know how often I'm going to do these, but I want to try to get through the whole show throughout this year. So like I don't want to promise like once a week or twice a month, but I'm going to do it as often as we can. And anyway, appreciate you guys. Austin, thanks for doing this with me.
No, thanks for having me. It was fun.
It was so much fun. I'm very excited about Ninja Turtles. I'm gonna be back this week with at least a couple more streams, so look forward to it. I'm not gonna tell you what they are yet, because I'm on hiatus. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan, and this was Austin, the Day Ghost.
See ya, folks.
Bye, everybody.